Hey guys, welcome to my brother's ballad. I'm your boy Poe Theory. So, of course, I love watching Abby Phillip's Newsnight. And last night they had a really great conversation. And I feel one of the most telling conversations about how the right views Charlie Kirk, not only Charlie Kirk, but also the statements that he's made and also DEI. But before we get into this clip and my reaction, guys, I am on a journey to 1,000 subscribers. That is the milestone I am working towards, trying to build this channel. Please, 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 if you enjoy this content, even if you enjoy hating watching me and just leaving nasty comments, still subscribe. Sometimes a little hate is good for the soul. So again, please subscribe. And let's get into this clip.
Do know, though, is that when Melissa Hortman, the Speaker of the Minnesota Legislature, was shot, there was a commemorative resolution in the Congress, and every Republican voted for it.
Right.
When Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs, there were 58 Democrats who would not vote for a resolution to honor him. So,
and I was one of them.
Why do you think it was?
I don't mind on anybody's life. I've got a problem with their legacy. And I know what the legacy of Kirk was. When I turn on my TV and I see someone telling me what an awful person Martin Luther King Jr. was, when I see somebody telling me if I get on an airplane and there's a black pilot, I begin to wonder, is he qualified? What does that mean? Those are the words that came out of his mouth.
That's not what he said. And
that is exactly.
It always blows my brain. Immediately, this guy jumps in and says that's not what Charlie Kirk said. But I would also like to highlight that the first example Clyburn gave was Charlie Kirk saying that MLK was a horrible person. He did say that. There's no way that you can try to rewrite that part of history that he said that. So I actually find that way more egregious than the stuff that he said about a black pilot. But that's the black pilot is the one thing that they can say, no, you're speaking out of context when you bring that up. Now watch how he tries to say that.
That's not what he said. And
that is exactly what he said. I got the exact quote.
It's not in context at all what he was talking about. It was a conversation about affirmative action. You know that, Congressman. This has been well litigated and well debated.
Everything about black people is about affirmative action. And so what's wrong with affirmative action?
No.
Look, you're telling me that when I came out of college and couldn't get a job, that is because I was not qualified?
That's not what I'm saying.
But what are you saying?
What I'm saying is Charlie Kirk was very clear. If these companies openly say that they have to somehow fill a quota of people, whether it be a race or gender, not based on merit, but based on their race or gender.
Okay, once again, because I cannot allow people to say that's what affirmative action is. Affirmative action is not about putting someone in a role just because they are black. It is about putting someone in a role that is qualified and happens to be black or a woman or someone that comes from a marginalized community. If we did not have affirmative action, there would be tons and tons of people that are very well qualified, but do not get viewed simply because they come from a marginalized community. And we live in a country that is systemically racist. I don't think that's such a hard thing to understand. They make it seem like these companies, pilots, hospitals, any industry, they make it seem like these people are just saying, we just need black people. Just find anyone black on the street and bring them in here. The way that the conservatives describe what they view affirmative action is actually what America has been. America has never been a meritocracy. No offense, but in the black community, we've always said to get half as far as our white counterparts, we have to work twice as hard. And so when you move in that way, when you've grown up with that type of mindset when it comes to your work ethic, I've never worked alongside a white counterpart of mine and they have been better than me or that impressive. No shade. So to continue to say that America needs to get back to a meritocracy, America has never truly been a meritocracy. Do you see who's in the office? Do you see who is the Secretary of Defense? Do you see who is the director of the FBI?
Or gender, the obvious should be clear to everyone, which is that person then qualified?
So
that's an obvious question.
Ketanji
Because of the
Brown.
bar that the corporation itself set up by saying publicly, we're going to do this type of DEI hiring, then you have to wonder, is it because of their race or their gender?
Can I just?
Well,
That's not what it is.
Hold on a second.
That's not what it is.
Hogan, why would
You
you
don't
have to
wonder
wonder?
about anything
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
why would you have to wonder that?
Yeah.
The only reason you would wonder that is if you're inclined to believe that nobody can be qualified if they are black and brown going into
and
those
that's
roles.
exactly,
And
and that's
also,
exactly
but
the
here's
point.
here's one other thing that I think is just a factual dispute with what you're describing. You're suggesting that the standards are lower for people of color filling these roles when there is absolutely
The exact opposite.
no evidence.
The exact opposite.
No, but that's what you said.
No, it
said,
isn't.
Hold on, Hogan. You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender.
That's not what I
and
said.
not
If that's not what you're saying, then I don't understand the issue with affirmative action. If that's not what you're saying, then essentially what you are saying is I don't want an even playing field. I don't want to have to compete with people that are actually better than me. The whole thing with affirmative action, especially when it comes to marginalized communities, all it does is widen the pool of applicants. People like Hogan, they don't want to compete. That is why they hate affirmative action.
because of their race or gender.
That's not what I
and
said.
not because they are qualified.
Not
So
what
are
I
they
said.
qualified or not?
That's not what I said.
Are they
What I
qualified
said-
or not?
What I said was
Is a pilot sitting in hold on, Hogan, is a pilot sitting on an airplane, flying a plane, whether he's black or white or a woman or gay or lesbian, if they are sitting in that seat and they meet the FAA requirements for being in that seat, are they qualified?
If they are qualified, I sure hope so.
Are they?
question-
But you
the
don't
que-
believe that they're qualified
That's not what I
because
said.
of what?
What I said was if the criteria was their race or gender,
Yeah,
then
but
how am I to know
that's
if the
why I'm telling
qualification
you,
is
Hogan,
there?
that
We
is
had
a
a president of the
factual
United States.
error that
we
you
had
are
a
making.
president of the
Hold
United
on,
States,
Hogan,
and
I
Joe
don't want
Biden,
you to-
who came out and said
Hogan, you're
he
changing.
wanted
Listen, I don't want you to change the
a
subject
woman
because
of
you are
color
making
to be the vice president.
the-
So when I noticed
Hogan, you
that that's
were-
what he said, that's not my
Hold
fault.
on, my
Joe
friend.
Biden said it.
You were in the White House.
For the life of me, I do not understand. Because he said he wanted a woman of color as the vice president, do you honestly think that's the only criterion for the woman of color vice president? Just her identity as a woman of color? It's just so intellectually dishonest.
He was going to put a woman on the Supreme Court. And then he picked Amy Coney Barrett. Is she not qualified?
She is extremely qualified.
Okay, so
Why-
why is
why would
she
you question that?
qualified? But Ketanji Brown Jackson is not.
He talked about the qualification as well. What I'm saying is, in that clear
listen.
directive from Joe Biden, in the clear directive from those
Hogan,
companies, they are
Hogan,
saying we are filling
let
a
me
quota.
ask-
They're not even saying filling
I'm
a
going to
quota
ask you
with the most
again because I think you have
qualified.
another opportunity to really think this through.
I've thought it through,
Donald
Abby.
Trump said, I am going to pick a woman to go on the Supreme Court. Oh, you know
said
what?
it was one of his
Let me give you another one.
So should he not have
George
done that?
George
No.
H.W. Bush said,
Well, take it
I
back
am
to
going
Ronald
to
Reagan.
pick
That's just the South.
I'm going to pick a black man to fill a role on the Supreme Court. Are those people unqualified?
I want always the most qualified people to
Are
hold
they
those
qualified
jobs.
or not?
It depends on
It
their
was it a
qualification.
quota or not?
It's always a
Because-
quota when you base it on
because
race or
Ketanji
gender.
Brown
If you base
Jackson-
it on qualification,
She is dog walking him, and I must say kudos to Abby Phillips for dog walking this man and showing what they truly believe what affirmative action is. And they truly believe that every single black person that has a position of power, it clearly means that they are just a token, essentially. They didn't earn their role. They didn't, just like Barack Obama. Barack Obama didn't earn the presidency. Barack Obama didn't earn going to Harvard. He didn't earn being the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. He didn't earn all of those things. It was given to him because he was just simply black. Oh my God, I wouldn't have had to work so hard in my life. If I knew that's what America was doing, what the hell are we complaining about if that's the case?
the
Because-
quota when you base it on
because
race or
Ketanji
gender.
Brown
If you base
Jackson-
it on qualification,
Hogan,
if the person is
Hogan,
hired as black
I
or a woman
really-
or whatever, it
listen,
doesn't
hold on.
matter. That's
Let
the
me just
point.
ask you a direct question.
It's the
Is
ultimate
it okay
meritocracy.
for Donald Trump to have DEI quotas or not?
It's not okay for anyone to have DEI
So then why
quotas.
did he have a DEI quota by your definition for Amy Coney Barrett?
He didn't. He said that was one of the selections.
He-
People said he should fill it with a woman.
Okay. He said he was going to fill it with a woman, and he did.
He did not only interview
Okay.
women for the job.
Correct.
Okay.
So
I'm
who-
sure.
Joe Biden didn't
Biden
openly
did.
interview
He
men for
qualified.
black women for the job.
Joe Biden had said as he went in his search process, his short list would be all women of color.
and they were.
Listen,
And they were
No,
qualified.
that's not true.
They were
Listen,
qualified.
We're taking issue
Brad,
with the
you're talking about the
criteria.
guy
not-
that brought in
Brad,
your
I just think
campaign.
it's you guys are misleading. I'm not gonna say you're lying. I'm just gonna say you're misleading about what Donald Trump said. The day after, Justice Ginsburg died, he said he was going to pick a woman to replace her. He said that. Okay, I'm not paraphrasing. That is
Well,
what
by
he said.
that standard,
So-
he should not have issued that as
Okay.
the criteria.
All right.
All right, one more thing.
Finally, some agreement. But of course, it was a white woman and a conservative white woman. So that's why it doesn't matter as much. DEI doesn't matter when it's a white woman, even though, fun fact, white women have been the majority beneficiary of all DEI and affirmative action programs.
Thomas, who I'm sure you love.
Mhm.
You love him, right?
Sure.
He was chosen to replace a black Supreme Court justice in part because he was a black man. Who is more qualified in terms of actual experience to be on the court, him or Ketanji Brown Jackson? Do you know?
I don't know if any of them.
Okay. Well, I've checked. She served as a federal judge for way longer. He actually didn't before she was put on the Supreme
No,
Court.
false. He was on the D.C. Court of Appeals,
Okay.
the second highest
Well,
court in
she
the
served.
land.
was.
She
He
served.
recommended
Yes.
by the
Yes.
bar association.
He,
You
yes.
cannot besmirch
He-
Clarence
He was
Thomas
on there
as
for.
qualified.
He was on there for a very brief period
The
of time.
second
So
She
highest
was
court
served
in the
as a
land.
judge.
We have
for-
never considered any nominee
Hold
for
on.
Supreme Court who was on the
I-
D.C.
I
Court of
am
Appeals to
not-
be
hold
unqualified
on.
for the Supreme Court.
I am not
never.
suggesting-
Never, ever has that been
I
said.
am not
You're saying
suggesting.
Clarence Thomas was not qualified?
I'm not actually no.
It's very similar to the Jimmy Kimmel thing. They kept saying Jimmy Kimmel was talking trash about Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, he never said anything about Charlie Kirk. He talked about the right and the right's push to blame it on the left before any information came out. He also talked about Donald Trump and how he was mourning. And they made up all these things about Jimmy Kimmel's monologue that he never said. Abby never said that Clarence Thomas wasn't qualified. He was the least qualified of all the judges that have been put on the Supreme Court. But she was comparing Ketanji Brown Jackson to Clarence Thomas, who had the most experience. And we all know that it was Ketanji. But what they hear is, you're saying Clarence Thomas isn't qualified.
Not actually. No, not. I am not.
You just
I am
said
not
he was
suggesting
not
that he's
qualified.
unqualified at all.
You did.
I am saying that he is qualified just the way that Ketanji Brown Jackson is qualified, just the way that Amy Coney
No,
Barrett
you
is
said
qualified.
he was less qualified.
No,
than Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I'm asking
So
you.
that's what you
I'm
said.
saying about.
Correct. Less qualified than Ketanji. But that doesn't mean that he isn't qualified for the Supreme Court.
I'm asking
So
you.
that's what you
I'm
said.
saying about comparing their resumes. If you want to compare
You
their
said
resumes,
he was less
one
qualified
of the things
than
that
her.
Charlie Kirk said was that Ketanji Brown Jackson, if she says that she was affirmative action pick, then what she is saying is that she didn't have the brain processing power to get that job without replacing a white man.
Look,
But I'm asking you, if you objectively look at her resume, is that a factual statement?
she's qualified for the Supreme
Okay,
Court.
so then
of
let's leave it
course.
at that. Because I just
She's
think
not very
that,
good at her job, but she's qualified.
okay, let's leave it at that. Because we want to make a lot of broad
But
statements about
according
who's
to Kirk,
qualified
she
and
was a
who's not.
diversity hire.
Say that again?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That Ketanji, was a diversity hire.
I want to go back. This all started
I got-
when we were talking about
I got 12
whether or
of his
not-
quotes right here.
whether or not Democrats should have voted to honor Charlie Kirk's life. And Congressman, I respect you. You are a living legend. I deeply respect your motives. However, I think that this is a question of whether we honor people who gave their life to public service.
Whoa. Public service is doing extreme heavy lifting when it comes to Charlie Kirk's legacy. He was a podcaster. He was not in the military. He was not a politician. What public service did he do other than radicalize young white men on college campuses?
Honor people who gave their life to public service. I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything,
Okay.
but he gave his life to public service.
I'll let you have the
Literally
last
have,
word on this. Go ahead.
But let me just say this. His life is one thing, his legacy is another. Now, I honor everybody's life. But when you tell me that was a diversity hire, when you tell me you're going to give thought to whether or not a black pilot is qualified. Something else is going on in your head, and that's a legacy that I will never vote to honor. So if they're taking legacy off, which we asked them to do, and just honor his life, you got my vote. But his legacy, I know what my father's inherited from the legacy of the South.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that discussion.
Now, let me be the first to tell you, not the biggest fan of Jim Clyburn as a progressive, not the biggest fan. But that man was talking that ish right there. When you say honor his life, I think you are saying he should not have been assassinated for his political beliefs. I agree with that. But to honor someone's legacy, someone of the ilk of Charlie Kirk, you should not. And I am very happy to know that this civil rights icon, Clyburn, knew not to do that. All right, guys. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And please be one of the first 1,000 subscribers. We are almost there. We are halfway there, I think. Yeah, we're halfway there. So again, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Peace.